What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Surviv Alert. No Firewave this week. He's been very unreliable, so I'm just doing this on my own for now. So our first story of the day has to do with Sleepy being accused of cheating. Interesting. I've got some evidence here apparently exposing himself. Let's just see. What do you guys think? So he says here, Venture Pro says, why not? Sleepy says, though, it has auto self-destruct, which means if people ask to screen share, you self-destruct it and removes from your history and everything. Yes, got any cheaper options? Nah, because I got some of the revenue from Ice Hacks, so yeah, so he wants to sell that. Adventure Pro says, hang on one sec, is Spice Hacks for real? Now, Spice Hacks was a thing that would actually be really pog, because I know people would buy the game, especially if it had a self-destruct button. That would be something that'd be really good. Maybe even something for Ice Hacks to do. I know Ice Hacks isn't really in development anymore. Adventure Pro wants to sample them. Sleepy says they gave him the test, but he can't give it out. Can you send me a screenshot to prove they're real, though? They're working on a flick system. I'm not going to admit to hacking with a screenshot, although he did admit back here. Just wondering if they're real. They're hidden. Looks a lot like Surviv. That would be really smart. Something like what Uber uses, or that it's hidden. If you had a background that was just completely normal Surviv, that would be really pog. Told me to send nothing about Ice Hacks. Again, I can't tell you. He talks about how he's under investigation for getting called out for that one weird flick and that one wall shot. Hacks will be released in 3 to 4 months, which is really small brain because the game's gonna be dead by then. What do you guys think? Hacks or cap? I'm leaning on the cap side, but it'd be funny if Spice Hacks was actually a thing. Next story we have is about how the fight for Surviv has been pretty much the same since back in, when I sent this message back in November. No, it wasn't back in November. It was well, let's check. I'll check on my other computer when it was. Back on February the 4th of 2020. So this was, well, I don't know how many months that is, a bunch of months ago. This is what I said. I heard allegedly at the last two, this was sent after to Libby. Surviv updates was completed by the development team of Congregate rather than Nick and Justin. I also know that it was received with mixed reaction from the community, and I know how that could be fixed. I have broken down what I would do if I was in a position of power. Transition from Nick and Justin to Congregate. The Congregate needs to actually deploy the community manager. I understand that the CM most likely hasn't been solidified and fully trained / in use, which actually came out in March, which is really concerning because the job application was either beginning of December or end of November. So taking 5 months to find a community manager is a big concern, especially when this game is completely yours starting in January. And it needs to be actually ready to go. And it's not like you're just putting out a game and it can be held back and postponed. It's a game that's in progress right now and needs to have some sort of community manager in order to make sure that the community doesn't implode on itself, which is actually kind of what it did. I said I understand that the CM hasn't been completely solidified and fully trained / in use, but now that Nick and Justin are completely hands off of everything, the server has gone into free fall. The inherent problem with a community as volatile as Surviv is the public opinion takes longer to revive than it is to destroy, which I think we've seen a couple of times. It slowly comes up and then the community, somebody does something bad and Surviv made, and then it tanks down farther than it was before. And what's worse is that nothing has been done to try to reduce the backlash that Congregate is getting right now. There is nobody in there to defend Congregate. Congregate put out a bad update and then everybody just bashed Congregate and the public opinion of Congregate decreased. I know from lurking in the official Surviv Discord that the Surviv.io Discord account now has the ownership of the server and that Nick and Justin are there just to be there, but there has been nothing done from Congregate. The Surviv community was very apprehensive about Nick and Justin selling the game. A lot of it was because change is scary, but a major concern was that the game that they loved would go down the drain the same way that a lot of similar games went after they were purchased by a company. Nick, Justin, a few mods, the key players of the community, and I worked to try to boost Congregate's reputation amongst the most active and loyal fans of the game, but we can't prop up something that has no substance. As soon as issues were deployed, there should have been an announcement in the Discord stating something about the issue, or at least some sort of communication to the mods, letting them know what was going on. The second and newest update really should have been tested. Before, when updates were released, there was a 1 to 2 hour window about a day before the official big release where a test server was open and publicized on the Surviv main Discord. During those, often bugs were discovered and then were patched during the next working day, allowing for a fairly flawless new update. I understand that this is the first time allegedly the new developers have released an update on their own, but the game was riddled with bugs. I'm assuming the devs are working on a tighter schedule now with more frequent updates, but pushing it back a few days couldn't have been a major impact, and not only would the game play it better, but the reaction would have been more positive. This was the update with the Flask, which the Flask was a bad update. I'm not going to deny that, but the major issue was just how many bugs there was. Like, I remember the connector between the above ground world and below ground, like a bunker, was see-through or was wrong view from both sides. And then there's a couple issues with doors and random things spawning into places they weren't supposed to. So there was just a bunch of bugs besides just how useless the flasks were. Another problem, that Congregate only has one chance of making a positive impression on the community early on. A community that has been together for 2 years, not particularly receptive to change, and made up predominantly of younger players. It concerns me how poor this has gone so far. That being said, just sending you a log, unpolished rant email wouldn't do anything. Here's what I think needs to be done. So by the way, I sent this to the lady who is in charge of hiring the community manager, and I didn't expect her to be able to fix the problems, but maybe send it to somebody who knew what they were talking about. But I got absolutely no response. Not even like a, oh thank you, I looked at it, I appreciate this kind of thing. Not even like a fake, like, yeah, I'm sending this to somebody who can do something kind of thing. I got absolutely no response at all, and I got none of this stuff has really been taken into consideration. I don't even know if she read it. So my first response was fix the issues with this update, PC Edition. So far, this issues include remaining trails, the red circle from the flask and snowflake from the freeze, some buildings spawning inside of each other, as well as some visual glitches to do with some of the bunkers in snow mode. The dev team put out a patch that solved most of the major issues, but there are still some pretty bad glitches in terms of past glitches. Completely redo the way that mobile works. According to a lot of players, the new mobile update is nearly unplayable. I believe that players are more upset with the technical aspect of the old app rather than the actual gameplay aspect. However, I'm not sure how much was changed about the technical aspect, and a lot of design aspect was changed. However, now the mobile buttons are too small and it's very difficult to press the buttons. In a market where as fast moving as mobile, having a broken game for a few days could have disastrous effects. If you look at the Instagram response to the last update, the majority of them are mainly bad. And a good portion are talking about how difficult mobile is to use. But that's just how I would fix this initial issue. I have a long list of things that I think would benefit the community as well as to keep the longevity of the game. Here's just a few of them. Now I'm talking about social media. I'm a big social media fan, a big fan of social media marketing, so this is kind of my specialty. Increase the amount of social media activity. Right now all the social medias are being utilized only on update days and only once. At least this is better than leaving it inactive such as YouTube and Twitch, but between all these accounts there are nearly 500,000 followers and they are not being utilized. These are people who would maybe play the game or used to play the game that could possibly get back into the game with a revival of social media. YouTube. My plan for YouTube was to release 6 videos a month with both lore as well as community events such as best sniper shots of the month or best trick plays, something like that. It sounds incredibly cheesy, but only half of it is the actual viewing aspect of it, and the other aspects of it would be an improvement, would be to incentivize people to stream it and make videos. If you were to have a contest where you could send in your best shot, people would be incentivized to grind the game more, which is increased ad revenue, as well as to stream/record their attempts, free advertisement, and the possibility to grow the player base. Then you compile into a video, super easy, even I could edit it, and then put it on YouTube for everybody to see if they made it. Another use of YouTube is to release official lore videos. The hardcore fans go crazy over lore, but Nick and Justin never had time to keep releasing lore videos/updates because they had more important things to do. These videos often generate a few 100,000 views so they can pay for themselves for sure. What else could be done are Q&A videos with the devs, community managers, or even top players, something that would not only bring the community together, but would also be entertaining content to watch. Even maybe a React and Q&A on the Surviv subreddit. Those seem to be popular on YouTube and would also utilize the Reddit. Instagram. My plan for Instagram was maybe a post every few days, maybe 3 or 4 a week, but it could definitely be upped if needed, about the game, about YouTube stuff, Discord events, as well as memes/art from the Surviv Reddit. Right now the Reddit doesn't get much love, so utilizing it would be great. Stuff that is popular on Instagram could even potentially attract more eyes to the game. Twitter. I think the Twitter would be a good place to put more comedic side of Surviv. Twitter has an older age group in my experience, so putting more comedy Twitter out could not only keep an audience captivated, but could also generate new views. It could also be a way to publicize content from other platforms. Twitter is a place that you could make in theory tweet 5 times a day if needed. Twitter trends are so fluid that it would be easy to make a Surviv spoof tweets too that might get popular. There could also be a tweet launched out that could have something like at a YouTuber/streamer that you would want to play Surviv, or tag a friend you think would like Surviv that could possibly drive new players to the game. Now I'm not a huge knowledge base on Facebook, but this is my idea on Facebook. Facebook, which has the largest following out of all the social medias besides YouTube, would be best with a combination of YouTube as well as Instagram content. But I'm not super familiar with the best way of generating interactions on Facebook. Reddit is a tool that original devs didn't implement and was literally free content that they could post out. All they needed to do was change the rules where anything was posted was allowed to go on their social media just to cover their butts. So that decreases the amount of time is needed to create content, allowing the CM to focus on other things. These are all my ideas for development. It's not really important for me to go over. By the way, rankings still haven't been implemented. June 2nd, 2018, so it's been over 2 years now. Cheating, still a big issue. I'm going to go over some of the technical issues. There are currently issues where metal doorways separating bunkers are considered closed when too far away and will ricochet bullets, even when open, or even if there is no door there. So that's a way, I'm surprised more competitive players haven't used this to their advantage. Doorways work kind of really funky, so you can kind of abuse them in order to gain a major advantage. Another issue is rampant use of racial slurs, as well as other bad names and bad words and names, and their poor solution to this was just to make it where that you couldn't change your name at all, which I don't think is really a viable option, because now you just have less people with the N-words in their name, but you just ban people who do, and you just have a whole bunch of people with random Surviv in their name. A way to make money would be release merch. They have merch before, but it's garbage, and it's not marketed at all, and they can make a little bit of extra money for that. Yep. And then that's it. So I wrote, it was 8 pages with all the ideas. A lot of these ideas are bad, so I'm not going to go over them. If you want to read them, just pause the video. That's going to be it for Surviv Alert today, I think. Surviv Alert's kind of boring me now, and to be honest, there's not much to talk about because competitive scene is dead. One last story, I guess, before I go. We've had the first round of the losers bracket for the 1v1 tournament. Those who got double eliminated were Raccoons is retired, which is I love Raccoons, SV98 Gaming, Demolisher, Hater, Tri-Tip, Easy, Colors, and Not Alley. Unfortunate for them. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow.